Sede vacante. The throne of the Holy See is vacant.
The main plot, the Pope dies, and they have to elect a new Pope. The premise of the story. And it focuses on a single cardinal, Lawrence, manage the entire process of electing the new Pope and dealing with everybody's conspiracies, plans,
secrets,
schemes,
true natures.
Traditore.
A bunch of conservative Catholic influencers freaked out about its supposedly anti-Catholic themes. One of the grievances with the conservative Catholic influencers was showing them all being power hungry.
It's the Pope.
All right, welcome to Film Fritter, everybody. My name is Rachel Masters. This is my sister, Emily Masters. And today we are talking about Conclave, which was nominated for Best Picture. The main character is going through a crisis of faith, but he is also being asked to manage this extremely important event, helping pick the next pope, even though he's not sure he even believes in that anymore. So it's like the ultimate test of faith.
His character has this huge contradiction, which they say makes a good character because we're human beings, we're full of contradictions.
That he has this doubt, but he's proceeding with his job as if he didn't have any doubts.
Yeah, and that he says, I don't want anything to do with being the Pope, but then he ends up getting to the point where he votes for himself.
Yes.
Like, that was hard for me to wrap into one person.
It's kind of fantastic, actually.
Yeah.
In the book, he has doubts about prayer itself and whether prayer does anything. And that it describes the character, the farther he gets up the chain of command, the higher he gets up in the Catholic Church, the farther away he feels from God. And he gets to the point where he feels like he can't even feel the Holy Spirit anymore.
I've been experiencing difficulties.
With your faith?
Prayer.
Terzo scrutinio sono I seguenti. Cardinale Adeyemi, 52 voti. Cardinale
Adeyemi, and how he was taken out of the running because he was in the lead and it looked like he was going to become the next pope. And then the nun, Sister Shinumi, shows up, who was his baby mama, and all the awkward implications that come with that.
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was one of the best scenes in the movie is when Lawrence goes to Adeyemi and talks about that. Oh, there's so much to unpack there. So on one hand, you sympathize for his character because no one's perfect. And there's this thing in his past that he can't get away from. And he is a good man. He would have been a good pope. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting. The whole unraveling with like Tremblay being the reason that she was there, I thought was really interesting. The whole scene where like Trembley's denying the reason why he was actually there and blaming it, like saying like the Pope asked me to bring her here and that I'm not the one who's doing it. Oh, that was hard.
There was that point where Adeyemi looked at him after...
Yeah, and calls him traitor.
Calls him traitor, Judas.
Yeah.
There's no worse thing you could say about anybody than that.
Yeah.
My brothers, it's true. But the Holy Father asked me to. I had no knowledge who this woman was. I swear to you.
Giuda. Traditore.
I thought that was really interesting. Lawrence, when he confronts Adeyemi about the incident and he says, you will never be Pope, and he's devastated,
Yeah.
wrecked. And then later, you see that his assistant is saying, oh, I found something out, and he's like, I'm done.
Find out. No, I'm not a witch finder. It's not my job to go hunting for secrets in my colleagues' pasts.
Because anyone's going to have something in their past that people are going to judge.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. But he seemed to feel really guilty for even having gotten involved in that situation. And that's why the intersex thing even got past him, is because he said, we're not doing this anymore. Because he truly felt the weight of what had happened, that he had just ruined this guy's whole career. So, and in the book, it's the case, I don't know if you feel this way about the movie, that he was doubting his own motives in the middle of the movie and even near the end.
Yeah, I got that sense because of his supporters. And I don't know. No, I got that sense too. It was very subtle though. That part was hard.
Okay, so Bellini confronts Lawrence and says, every cardinal has picked their name for Pope, dreamed of that moment. And he says, I haven't.
You can't seriously believe that I have the slightest desire to become Pope.
Come on! Every cardinal has that desire. Every cardinal deep down has already chosen the name by which he would like his papacy to be known.
Well, I haven't.
And he is kind of emotional when he says it. Do you believe him when he says, I haven't thought of the name?
I believed him. The only time I questioned that belief was when it got to his conversation with Bellini, where Bellini apologizes and then asks him, what would you want your name to be as Pope? And he has an answer. And I'm like, have you thought about this, Lawrence?
As the next most senior member of this conclave, it will fall to me to ask you how you wish to be known as Pope.
John. I would choose John.
After that, he writes his own name down on the paper, and I didn't like that.
So they were trying to show that he was just ignoring, or maybe he felt unworthy because of his doubt, and that's why he said, well, I haven't. Because
so maybe like he wanted it, but he like thought he shouldn't because of his doubt. It just felt too quick. The switch felt too quick from him being totally resistant to it to him also being like, yep, I guess I have to be Pope, guys. Lawrence. Sticks it in there.
True. I think that transition,
I don't know.
That transition was a little bit hard.
Yeah.
I would agree. Even though by the time they get there, they've kind of eliminated all of the candidates.
But why couldn't Bellini have been the candidate at that point?
Because he was weak. They show the conservatives being these assholes with sticks up their butt. And then they show the progressives as being these weaklings that can be bribed.
Wow.
Okay, he breaks the seal to the Holy Father's room, and he goes in there kind of looking for an answer, and that's his lowest moment in the movie.
You kind of get this sense for the friendship that he had with the Pope too, and that he's devastated at the situation. Like, you really get to know a lot about his character in that scene.
Exactly. Also, when she went to the room and saw that the seal had been broken and then decided not to walk in.
Yes, that was really interesting.
I liked that. What was your interpretation of her choice to not walk in?
At first, when she's like reacting like it's this horrible thing, I'm like, is she on Tremblay's side? Like, does she know something that she's trying to hide? But then when she decides not to go in,
I always interpreted it like she had a feeling whoever was in there needed to not be disturbed, and then she went with her gut and just left.
Yeah.
Potentially. Because you see the light shut off, and she sees that, and she's like, oh man.
And it almost seemed like a knowing though on her face. It's like, it's almost like in that moment she knew who was in there.
Right.
It's like she knew it was him.
And then ends up
and then she was going to
him.
leave it alone. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Her part was pretty close to the book, except for her not walking in that room. So Cardinal Lawrence found the papers in the Pope's bedroom that were indicative of simony as a sin on the part of Cardinal Tremblay and a few others.
Yeah.
What did you think of the fact that Tremblay had been lying that whole time about that situation? Quite convincingly.
That bothered me through the whole movie. So that I thought was really interesting. Again, you know, it's something that I think a lot of people can relate to, is having someone that you should trust, and so you kind of gaslight yourself into making all these excuses for them, when in reality you need to see things for what they are and kind of pull that veil away and see things for their, like, that was very, it seemed to me like they were trying to convey that as like a very difficult thing that Lawrence had to do, was reveal the true nature of Tremblay.
Because it reflected poorly on all of them, and in the church as an institution, it reflects very poorly.
That was something being hidden, you know, and he chose to reveal that even though that he could lose everything.
Right. I really liked that.
His performance was so convincing that I believed it too. Like, his gaslighting, it gaslit me.
I really loved the conversation they had. It was the second time he confronted him, because the first time it was pretty benign. The second time,
kind of just brushed it off.
Yeah, the second time he confronted him, it was actually really serious. He's like, I'm going to pretend we didn't have this conversation.
And then he tries to turn what he's doing onto Lawrence, like projecting literally everything that he's doing, he accuses Lawrence of doing.
If you really are so very reluctant to have the chalice passed to you, I shall pretend this conversation never took place.
But it has taken place.
And I think that's a very relatable thing to people is that, you know, you'll call someone out on something and then they accuse you of doing the very thing they're doing. And then you start having guilty conscience questioning yourself. And they show that him going through that whole process, questioning himself, like, am I doing something wrong? Am I being simple? Maybe I shouldn't be looking into people's secrets. You know, it's really interesting.
And they have him finally decide to tell everyone what he did.
Yeah.
And that's when he goes to the copier machine and he's like, got this. Oh, here I am. And then she goes and is like, can I help you? And he's like, well, in the book, he's like, well, she has to know because I have to make these copies and she's going to read the top sheet.
And everyone's going to know it anyways if he's actually going to enact what he's doing. So.
Yeah, it's funny. I love that scene in the book because she grabs the sheet and looks at it and is like...
But it was cool too because it was almost like this quiet encouragement. Like she was supporting what he was doing. He needed that support from her.
And he redacts part of it in the book.
Yeah, because he didn't want to reveal all the names that were paid off, right?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't trying to
Expose-
smear everyone's name, just one person. that I didn't. I'm like, dude.
That was good. It's like, there's just one person I really want to wreck here. He needed to be wrecked. He needed to be ousted. That was the ultimate turning point for his character, was making the decision to upset everyone with this information.
Yeah.
And even potentially have to resign himself because of it, even though he was ready to, but it seemed like by the time he was saying, I'm going to resign in that scene, he's like, I will give up my position here and we can leave, but I had to say this.
As Conclave, and I will be happy to stand down as Dean.
It seemed like at that point he was actually sorry and he didn't actually want to quit anymore at that point. I thought that was pretty good. So that was like a full turning point for his character. So it seemed like he fully gained his confidence back by that point in the movie, so that when he did vote for himself, it was a moment of weakness. That's why the bomb went off.
Yeah, that's why that scene just confused me.
So you're going, okay, so now he's gone from doubting to full confidence in what he's doing to now delusions of grandeur.
Like he believes he's doing the right thing, but then all of a sudden he's voting for himself, which was the thing he didn't want to do this whole time.
Right. Yeah.
He's voting for himself instead of finding like a better alternative. Oh, that was a weird switch up.
But then in the very last vote, he votes for Benitez.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what do you want your name to be? And the look on his face was one of serenity and of like, yes, the right person was chosen.
Yes, he's relieved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quo nomine vis vocari?
Innocentius.
I like that. So there's a full circle moment of him kind of having delusions of grandeur, having that power trip moment in his head, and then
I didn't like
being
that.
warned almost that, hey, that's not what I want. This is what I want.
It wasn't God's will. Yeah.
And I think they were also trying to show that in the overall grand scheme of things, that everyone's sins were being used for a better purpose, which is to find the right pope. That it could have been any one of these very imperfect people, but instead, through everyone's weaknesses,
It happened for a reason.
even the...
Because if that hadn't happened, Benitez wouldn't have had his self-righteous speech and he wouldn't have been voted for.
But
It all works together for good.
It all worked together for good in a really, what do you call it? Self-congratulatory way.
But yeah, I thought that they were very realistic with how human relations are. Very realistic. Like you find yourself almost relating to it too much.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. I 100% agree with that. Our rating system, we do arcs, themes, vibes, rewatchability, 2 shout outs, the scene average, and then total average.
Yeah, so Arcs was a 10 because I was very interested in Lawrence's character. You can see the roller coaster of emotions that he's going through. Him having to go from the reluctant leader to accepting his leadership role. And then at the end, he has this peace and knowing like, okay, this is actually the role I'm supposed to play. And this other person was supposed to be in this role. Him going through guilt, shame. I really like that. So I give that a 10. I make it a 10 based only on his character, not other characters really. Themes, like I understand what they're trying to say. They conveyed it well, but I don't know if it was like the most important message to get across. Vibes I thought were pretty good. I loved the cinematography. I loved just how they set up each scene. I thought it was really good. I loved going into like the traditions of the Catholic Church. That was very interesting. I felt like I learned a lot about that. If it's all accurate, then I learned a lot about that. So that I thought was really good.
And rewatchability, I see that you gave that a 5.
This is the thing. I would only watch it again so that I fully understood it.
And then you wouldn't watch it.
And I would never watch it again in my life. I would only watch it again so that like I really, really know what I feel about it.
Right, but that's kind of following through with the themes and that they just really didn't resonate for you a whole lot. Like the character's arc did, but the overall theme of the movie, as far as the church's role in the world, didn't sink in for you.
No.
Okay.
So I just didn't care. Number one shout out was to the main actor. I give a 10 for his performance. I thought he was excellent. Like I watched the movie just to watch him. It was so good. Just the way he expresses emotion, and he does it so subtly. I just thought it was masterfully done. Loved it. So I definitely give it a 10 for that. Okay. For his performance. I think he deserves like an award for that. The cinematography was so good. Every single shot felt like an art piece. Mm-hmm. Especially there were some ones that stood out to me, but one of them was when they're all walking through the courtyard with the white umbrellas.
Yes.
That was so good. But it's more than that. Like there were so many shots where it was just perfectly done, or you'd see like this perfect like angle cut across the frame, or you could tell that like people were planning out these frames. And I really like to see that.
But scene average was an 8, and then your total average was an 8.
Yeah, I rated most of it worthy. I thought that the second half of the film was way better than the first half of the film. The first half was kind of slow. Second half was awesome. The twist I thought was very well done. Yeah, I thought it was very thought-provoking. And I like anything that's thought-provoking, even if it's something I don't agree with. If it makes me think, then I already like the movie.
Okay, so the arcs, I put a 9. Themes, a 7 as well. They could have been better fleshed out.
Yeah.
Vibes, a 10. I just loved I loved it. I know you didn't like the music, but I loved the music, cinematography, the colors, everything was just really
if you're going to have music
crisp.
that intense, you need to earn it.
Yeah, instead of it feeling like someone's going to get stabbed.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, rewatchability, I gave a 7. I like listening to the actors talk. I would put it on in the background and contemplate its themes again.
Interesting.
Maybe once every few years. So that's a 7. Shout out, Ralph Fiennes' performance was wonderful. It's the most compelling element of the movie. You can't take your eyes off him.
Yeah. The one scene that really got to me was when he was talking to Benitez and he's basically like begging him not to vote for him. Mm-hmm. I forget what he says exactly, but it's something like, I never asked for your vote. Mm-hmm. And just the emotion that he conveys when he says that, when he like has this like little outburst, it was so good.
Yeah, I like that. I also love the moment when Tremblay says to him, I'm going to pretend we didn't have this conversation. And he's like, but we have had this conversation.
Yeah.
I love
it's like he's mad that he's being put in this situation.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't ask.
Why did I need to know this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like, you don't understand. I know this now and things are going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Shout out 2 was a 6. Morally vague commentary is vague. And I wrote that it's hard to determine watching the film what the author's exact views are on what things in the Bible we're supposed to be, more tolerant about, and what things that we're supposed to hold fast to in love, of course, not hatefully as Tedesco does, but in love, hold fast to what we know to be true in the Bible. It's really hard to say what their views on and how we should proceed. They're very vague, even with Benitez's speech. Sorry.
But not even just his speech, but Bellini's speech.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if you're going to vote for me, you need to know that I'm this and I'm that. And he sounds like a very like progressive person.
Yeah. Which
it was hard to know if that's like what the author's thinking. No, it probably is. Yeah. It's like that's what he was thinking should be.
Yeah. And I was listening to the author. I wasn't really copacetic with what he thought the point was, other than we're all very flawed. And I was okay with all of the Cardinals being very flawed people who were a little bit power hungry. Yeah, because it's like, why wouldn't they be? Again, like you were saying, it's Pope and everything that's meant throughout all of human history, leading up from the beginning of the Holy Roman Empire to now. What has the Pope meant throughout hundreds of years of history?
Yeah.
It's meant that you have one of the most powerful roles in human civilization, and you can influence events the way you want, not the way God wants, the way he wanted.
And I don't think it should be that way, honestly.
It shouldn't.
But that's my own personal opinion about the Pope and how he shouldn't be a thing.
Truth is knowable. Truth is concrete, except when it isn't, as I wrote. There's some things that we can be sure about. So that's a 6. Scene average is an 8. Total is worthy.
Yep, I rated it worthy as well. Again, the last half of the movie really impressed me, where Lawrence puts his vote in, and right as he's flipping it, the bomb goes off. It was so good. And then the other scene that I really, really loved was when they actually vote for who the Pope is, and you see Lawrence walk up, and you think like he's the one who's been voted, but you know there's something up. I just wasn't expecting it to be Benitez on the other side, being the ones like, I accept. I thought that was really well done, that scene.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. I liked that he was resolute. This is the way it was always meant to be.
Yeah, he was relieved. He's like, this was God's will. This is what he had planned. And
then,
his faith was restored.
Yes.
It was like his perfect answer.
Yeah, because he was so worried it was going to be some power-hungry jerk. And then it seemed like,
It was like Gandalf choosing the hobbits.
Yeah.
That's how it kind of felt.
Yeah, I like that.
It's like the meek will inherit the earth type theme.
Bad Light by Three Magnets Brewing Company from Olympia, Washington. It's a milk stout, 4.4% alcohol. So yeah, there's a cross.
Like the Conjuring vibes.
Thought it was very edgy. So yeah, we'll open this. You want some, DJ?
Yes.
Well, it's good. This is what DJ would call a soy sauce beer. You hate it. I like it.
I hesitate to say.
See, it's a soy sauce beer.
In a good
Wait.
way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
It's very drinkable.
Has that like umami flavor.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Don't drink whiskey before you drink this.
Because the whiskey's sweeter than this.
Because the whiskey's sweeter.
Yeah,
Not that we're drinking before we drink this.
I'll cut that.
I like it. You don't like it? Anything below 5% is non-beer. It's
Juice.
a children's cough syrup.
Chocolatey, a little on the watery side. Similar to Guinness, but a little more malty than Guinness.
I would say it's a lot more flavorful than Guinness. It doesn't taste like a under 5% beer.
I would say like the malty head on it is good. It feels like it's leading into a stronger tasting beer than you're getting.
Yeah, it tastes like a strong beer, but it's not.
Is this
Yeah.
a stout?
That's
a milk stout.
Very
Yeah.
upsetting.
This is good. I like this.
No,
Like
it's
that?
only 4%.
All right, so DJ gives it 1 out of 10. What's your rating?
Out of 10, I'd give it an 8.
An 8. What are you giving it?
My rating was a 7 until I found out the percentage. Now it's a 2.
A 2.
Yeah, the percentage doesn't matter.
But
Yes, it does.
Guinness is like a 4.2, and you give that higher? Do you? Wait, do you not like Guinness?
Guinness is like a 6.
Guinness is a
It's like
10.
4.
No, this is for me. Guys, this is the thing. 5 and under, disgusting.
Yeah, Guinness is,
5 and up, enjoyable.
Guinness is like 4.
Guinness is
A 4 on the scale of 1 to 10, yeah.
No,
I agree.
alcohol.
you rate Guinness a 4.
No, Guinness is fine. Guinness is like a 7. It's 6.
This is better than Guinness.
6 and a
Don't
half.
say that in
This is
Ireland.
better than Guinness.
Guinness is like 6.5.
This is better than Guinness.
This is the thing. If I'm going to drink alcohol, I want to feel something.
But the taste of it, though, strictly on taste, what are you rating it?
8.
Taste is a 7.
I was going to say taste is a 3.
What?
Sorry.
You need to get your priorities straight.
But you said taste is a 7, but the fact that it's low alcohol makes it
It's a 2. Yeah.
See, I was going to make it that it being low alcohol would have been higher on my rating if it
Why?
had tasted better. Because I actually like sipping on beer without it like totally making me like really buzzed. Because I like beer.
I would never get buzzed on a beer.
Yeah.
But those are things that don't need to be revealed.
Truth. Okay, well we have our beer ratings. Okay, so do you have a badge you would award this? Improv. What would you give this movie? What would you give the movie? Sorry, I've been pulling away from the microphone and I apologize. Making my audio inconsistent.
This movie. I'm thinking something red. Too red. Is my badge.
Reminds me of that quote from the X-Files. Her hair was red. Too red. What episode was that?
That's good.